Commander James Walker stared out the large window of Earth's space station. Massive alien ships hung in the black sky like giant metal islands. His hands tightened into fists behind his back. These visitors from the stars called themselves the Galactic Council. They had come 3 months ago, not with bombs or lasers, but with papers and rules. You understand that these terms are final. Ambassador Krell's voice was smooth but cold. The alien skin was almost clear, showing strange organs pulsing underneath. Earth may join our community of worlds, but only if you agree to these limits. Walker watched as Earth's leaders looked at each other around the large round table. The room was silent except for the soft hum of the station's air systems. On the table sat the treaty, a set of rules that would change human history forever. President Garcia picked up the document with a slight tremble in her hand. And if we refuse? Krell's 4 eyes blinked one after another in a rolling motion. Then Earth remains alone. We control all paths to the stars. You would be isolated. The threat was clear. Isolation meant no trade, no new technology, no protection from other dangerous species that might find Earth. The Council ships in orbit were a constant reminder of how small humanity still was. Walker listened as Krell explained the rules again. No warships bigger than 100 meters, no advanced weapons, no more than 50 military ships total, strict limits on engine technology. It was like putting a leash on a dog they feared might bite. We need time to discuss, said President Garcia. Krell nodded his long, thin head. You have 1 Earth day. When the aliens left the room, the arguments began. Some leaders wanted to fight, to refuse the unfair rules. Others feared what would happen if they said no. Walker stayed quiet, watching and thinking. Later that night, Walker couldn't sleep. He stood in his small room on the station, looking down at the blue Earth. 28 years in the Navy had taught him to read between the lines. This wasn't about safety. It was about fear. They're afraid of us, he said to his empty room. His computer beeped. A message from Admiral Thompson. Meeting. Sector 7. 400 hours. Highest secrecy. The underwater base in the Pacific Ocean was one of Earth's best-kept secrets. Walker's small submarine docked at 3:58 a.m. Security scans checked his identity 3 times before he was allowed into the meeting room. Admiral Thompson was already there with 5 others. Dr. Reed, a physicist with wild hair and tired eyes. General Collins of the Global Defense Force. Director Lee from Intelligence. Dr. Morgan, a materials expert. And Rivera, the best electronics engineer in North America. Thank you for coming, said Thompson. The Admiral was a tall, stern woman with gray hair cut short against her skull. What I'm about to share does not leave this room. She turned on a screen showing the treaty. We're going to sign this tomorrow. Walker couldn't hide his surprise. We're giving in. Thompson's face showed no emotion. On paper, yes, but I didn't invite you here to surrender. She pointed to a specific line in the document. Look closer. The treaty limits military vessels. Dr. Reed smiled for the first time, but says nothing about research ships. Exactly, Thompson nodded. The Council thinks they've caged us, but they've only told us what shape the bars are. She pressed a button, and the screen changed to show plans for a ship unlike anything Walker had seen before. This is Project Phoenix, she said. A ship that will obey every rule while breaking their spirit. Officially, it will be a deep space research vessel. Unofficially, a warship, Walker finished, studying the clever design. Hidden in plain sight. The Council thinks we're simple and predictable, Thompson continued. That's their mistake. Throughout history, humans have excelled when backed into a corner. They're limiting us because they fear what we might become. General Collins cleared his throat. Intelligence has uncovered disturbing patterns in Council behavior toward emerging species. They claim peaceful intentions, but their actions suggest control, not cooperation. Director Lee nodded. 3 advanced civilizations have mysteriously declined after Council assistance. We don't intend to be the 4th. Walker looked at the plans again. This won't be easy. The Council will watch us closely. One mistake and... That's why I need you to lead this, Thompson interrupted. Your engineering background, your combat experience, your ability to think creatively. You're perfect for this mission. Walker felt the weight of what she was asking. If we're caught, it's more than our careers. It would mean war when we're not ready. And if we do nothing, Dr. Reed said quietly, we accept a future where humans never reach their potential, where we're forever limited by someone else's fear. The room fell silent. Walker looked at each face around the table. They were asking him to risk everything on a hunch that the friendly aliens might not be so friendly. The treaty signing is tomorrow, Thompson said. I need your answer now, Commander. Walker thought about history, about how often trust had been misplaced, about how civilizations that couldn't defend themselves eventually disappeared. The Romans built roads to move their armies, he said finally. The Council built treaties to stop ours. Both made the mistake of teaching their methods to others. He straightened his back. I'm in. Thompson allowed herself a small smile. Good. You leave for the asteroid belt in 3 days. Officially, you're leading a mining operation. Unofficially, you'll be building humanity's insurance policy. As the others discussed details, Walker's mind was already racing ahead. The Council thought they knew human limits. They had studied our weapons, our ships, our tactics. But they had missed something important. Humans don't just break rules. They transform them. The treaty would be signed tomorrow. And in the shadows, Project Phoenix would rise. The old mining station floated silently among the asteroids. On paper, it was Mining Outpost 37B, abandoned after the platinum veins ran dry. In reality, it was now Phoenix Base, the secret birthplace of humanity's future. Commander Walker stepped out of the transport ship and looked around the main hangar. 3 months had passed since the treaty signing. The station still looked mostly abandoned, with old equipment gathering dust and lights flickering in the corridors. Perfect cover. It's not much to look at, said Dr. Reed, walking up beside him. The physicist looked even more tired than before, but there was fire in his eyes. That's the point, Walker replied. The Council won't look twice at a dead mining operation. They walked through the station, passing small groups of workers disguised as miners and researchers. Everyone here had been hand-picked and sworn to secrecy. Most had family on Earth. A few had lost loved ones during the brief skirmishes when the Council first arrived. This is our main work area, Reed said, pressing his hand against a scanner hidden inside an old control panel. A large wall slid open, revealing a vast chamber that had once been the main mining bay. Now it held something else entirely. The beginnings of a ship, broken into sections that didn't look like they belonged together. Walker nodded in approval. If anyone comes to inspect, each piece looks like separate research equipment. Exactly, Reed grinned. The front section is officially a deep space radiation study module. The middle is a gravitational wave detector. The rear section is just mining equipment storage. Walker walked around the pieces, studying the clever designs. How's the propulsion system coming? Reed led him to a sealed chamber where a strange engine sat on testing blocks. This is my favorite part. The Council thinks they're limiting us with their approved technology list, but they don't understand how humans use tools. He pointed to various parts of the engine. This uses only materials and technology the treaty allows, but we've arranged them in ways they never imagined. It's like they gave us a piano, but only allowed us to play certain notes. They didn't realize we could create new songs with those same notes. Walker smiled. And weapons. Follow me. They entered a heavily shielded room where Dr. Morgan was testing what looked like mining lasers. The gray-haired woman looked up from her work. These are officially asteroid-cutting tools, she explained. But with some adjustments to the focusing crystals, she pressed a button and a beam shot out, slicing through a thick metal plate, as if it were paper. Will the Council detect the energy signature? Walker asked. "That's where I come in," said Rivera, appearing from behind a console. The young engineer pointed to a device attached to the weapon. "This dampening field makes the energy output look like normal mining operations. To their sensors, we're just breaking up rocks." Walker spent the rest of the day touring the facility, meeting the team, and reviewing progress. By evening, he gathered everyone in the main hall. Nearly 100 people crowded into the space, all working on different aspects of the secret project. "I won't lie to you," Walker said, his voice echoing in the metal chamber. "What we're doing is dangerous. If the Council discovers us, we could trigger the very conflict we're trying to prevent." He paused, looking at their determined faces. "But sometimes the greater risk is doing nothing. The Council claims to welcome us as equals, but their rules say otherwise. They fear our potential, and history shows that fear often leads to preemptive action." Walker pointed to the ship pieces visible through the large windows. "Project Phoenix isn't about starting a war. It's about ensuring we can protect ourselves if their true intentions ever turn hostile. It's about keeping humanity's future in human hands." The room erupted in applause. These people had given up normal lives to work in secret on an asteroid. They believed in the mission. 6 months into construction, the ship was taking shape. The separate pieces were now clearly parts of a whole. What had begun as scattered sections was becoming a vessel unlike any humanity had built before. But progress brought danger. Council inspection ships began making regular patrols through the asteroid belt, monitoring mining activities. "They're getting suspicious," Director Lee reported during her monthly visit. "Our supply runs are drawing attention." Walker nodded. They had been smuggling materials through dozens of small civilian ships, each carrying just enough to avoid notice. But the pattern was becoming visible. "We need a distraction," Walker decided. The opportunity came 2 weeks later. A Council patrol ship approached the station for a surprise inspection. Walker was ready. "Welcome to Outpost 37B, he said, greeting the 4-armed inspector at the airlock. "We're conducting deep space research here. Nothing exciting." The alien sensors scanned constantly as Walker led him through carefully prepared areas of the station. Everything dangerous was hidden behind special walls that blocked scanning technology. "What is happening in the East Sector?" the inspector asked suddenly. Its antenna twitched with suspicion. Walker kept his face calm while his mind raced. The East Sector contained key weapon components impossible to explain. "Old mining equipment," he said smoothly. "Very unstable. In fact." A massive explosion rocked the station. Emergency alarms blared. "What was that?" The inspector's 4 arms reached for scanning tools. "The unstable equipment I mentioned," Walker shouted over the noise. "We need to evacuate this area immediately." In the confusion, Walker's team rushed the inspector back to his ship. The explosion, carefully planned and controlled, had destroyed an empty section of the station, but created enough chaos to end the inspection. After the Council ship departed, Walker gathered his lead engineers. "They'll be watching us more closely now," he warned. "We need to move the most sensitive work deeper into the asteroid field." Dr. Reed nodded. "We're still on schedule, but we'll need to be more careful with power usage. Any unusual energy spikes will bring them back." Walker looked through the viewport at the distant stars. Out there, the Council was spreading its influence, its rules, its control. Earth had gained access to some new technologies from the treaty, but at what cost? Their freedom to grow, to explore, to defend themselves, all limited by alien fear. "We have 1 year to finish this ship," Walker told his team. "After that, I believe the Council will tighten restrictions even further. They're watching how fast we adapt to the technologies they've shared." "We'll be ready," Dr. Morgan promised. "Humans work best under pressure." As the team returned to work, Walker studied the ship's growing outline against the blackness of space. The Phoenix was taking shape, not just a vessel of metal and energy, but a symbol of humanity's refusal to be caged. The Council had made rules to contain them, but they had forgotten that humans had been breaking rules since they first looked up at the stars and decided to reach them. 4 years had passed since Project Phoenix began. The ship was now 60% complete, hidden deep in the asteroid belt. What had started as separate pieces was now clearly a powerful vessel, even though much work remained. Commander Walker stood in the newly finished bridge, running his hand along the captain's chair. Screens lit up the circular room, showing the ship's systems and the space around them. The bridge still had exposed wires and missing panels, but it was taking shape. "She's beautiful," said Dr. Reed, entering the bridge with a tablet in his hand. 4 more months, and the engine system will be fully online. Walker nodded. "And weapons?" "Dr. Morgan says the main systems are ready for testing. We just need to find a safe time and place." Their conversation was interrupted when the bridge doors slid open. Marcus Gray, the project's security officer, walked in with a serious look on his face. Gray was younger than most senior staff, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Commander, we need to talk," Gray said, his voice tense. "Privately." Walker followed Gray to a small meeting room off the main corridor. Inside, Gray closed the door and activated a sound-blocking device. "What is it?" Walker asked. Gray placed a data pad on the table. "I've been reviewing Council communications. Something doesn't add up." "Explain." "For 4 years, we've been building this ship because we believe the Council has hidden intentions, that they might turn against us." Gray's eyes locked with Walker's. "But where's the proof?" "All I see is a peaceful alliance. They've shared medical technology that saved millions of lives. They've helped clean our oceans." Walker frowned. "You know why we're here, Gray. The treaty restrictions are unfair, yes." Gray cut in. "But maybe they're just being careful. Maybe we're the dangerous ones, building a secret warship while pretending to be friends." The room fell silent. Walker studied the younger man carefully. Gray had been with the project from the start, one of their most dedicated team members. This sudden doubt was troubling. "You've seen the intelligence reports," Walker said finally. "A pattern of how the Council treats rising species." Gray shook his head. "Reports based on limited data and assumptions. Commander, what if we're wrong? What if we fire the first shot in a war that didn't need to happen?" Walker leaned forward. "This isn't about firing first. It's about making sure we can defend ourselves if necessary. That's what every arms race in history has claimed." Gray replied. "I joined this project to protect Earth. Now I'm not sure if we're protecting it or endangering it." The argument spread beyond their private meeting. Within days, the project team was divided. Some agreed with Gray, questioning whether they were overreacting to the Council's rules. Others remained convinced of the danger. At dinner in the station's mess hall, the tension was visible. People who had worked side by side for years now sat at separate tables, talking in low voices. Dr. Morgan joined Walker at his table. "This isn't good," she said quietly. "Division is the last thing we need right now." Walker nodded. Gray has valid concerns. That's what makes this difficult. "Do you think he would?" She didn't finish the question. "Report us to the Council." Walker sighed. "I don't know. He believes he's doing the right thing, whatever that is." The next morning, Gray was gone. His quarters were empty, and a small transport ship was missing from the hangar. Walker called an emergency meeting of the senior staff. "We have to assume Gray is going to the Council," he told them. "We need to decide what to do." Dr. Reed looked pale. "If he tells them about Phoenix, they'll come in force. We can't fight them yet." "Could we hide the ship?" Rivera suggested. "Move it deeper into the belt." "Not enough time," Walker said. "And a power signature that big would be easy to track during transport." "So we have 2 choices," Dr. Morgan said grimly. "Abandon the project or accelerate it." Walker looked around the table. "I need your honest opinions. Do we continue?" The room was silent for a long moment. Finally, Dr. Reed spoke. "I've spent 4 years of my life here because I believe in what we're doing. Gray might be right. Maybe the Council means well. But what if he's wrong? Can we take that chance? One by one, the others nodded in agreement. Then it's decided. Walker said, "We accelerate. Full shifts around the clock. We launch in 6 months, ready or not." 2 weeks passed with no sign of council ships. The team worked frantically, completing systems that should have taken months in just weeks. Sleep became a luxury as everyone pushed themselves to the limit. Then, unexpectedly, a small ship approached the station. Walker ordered battle stations, fearing the council had found them. But it was Gray's transport, returning alone. Walker met him in the hangar, flanked by armed security. Gray stepped out of his ship looking exhausted but determined. "You didn't go to the council," Walker said. Surprise. "No," Gray replied. "I went to find answers." In Gray's ship was a secure container filled with data drives. Gray had traveled to the edge of council space, using his intelligence training to hack into restricted archives. What he found confirmed their worst fears. In the station's main hall, Gray showed the evidence to the entire team. The files revealed that 3 other species who had advanced too quickly had been secretly undermined by the council, one through engineered resource shortages, another through political manipulation. The third simply disappeared from all records after safety concerns. "They call it containment," Gray explained, his voice hollow. "Species that develop too quickly are seen as threats to stability. Earth's rapid progress from simple flight to space travel in less than a century frightens them." Walker studied the translated documents carefully. The treaty wasn't about protecting the galaxy from us. "No," Gray agreed. "It was about making sure we could never challenge them. They're not preparing for our aggression, Commander. They're preparing to eliminate our potential." The division among the crew vanished overnight. Even those who had doubted now understood the truth. The Council's friendly face hid darker intentions. Not immediate destruction, but a slow, controlled decline of human civilization. "I'm sorry I doubted," Gray told Walker privately. "I needed to be sure." Walker put a hand on his shoulder. "You did the right thing. Questioning is how we avoid becoming what we fear." With renewed purpose, the team returned to work. The ship, now officially named the Defiance, was no longer just a contingency plan. It was humanity's best hope for a future free from alien control. As Walker looked at the half-finished vessel through the viewport, he felt a mix of pride and urgency. They were building more than a ship. They were building a chance. The alarms blared throughout Phoenix Base, their urgent wail bouncing off metal walls. Commander Walker ran to the control room, where screens showed a Council deep space monitoring ship just entering the outer asteroid belt. "They've detected something," Reed said, his fingers flying over the controls. "Power surges from our last engine test." Walker's mind raced. The Defiance wasn't ready. Key systems remained unfinished. Weapons were installed but not fully calibrated. The revolutionary drive system worked, but not at full power. "How long until they reach us?" Walker asked. 3 hours, maybe 4 if the asteroids slow them down, Rivera answered from another console. Walker made the hardest decision of his life. Launched the ship. The room fell silent. Everyone stared at him. "But, Commander," Dr. Morgan protested, "we're not ready. Half the internal systems aren't connected. The outer hull has gaps in 3 sections." "We have no choice," Walker said firmly. "If they find this base, everything we've worked for ends. At least in space, we have a chance." Walker activated the station-wide communication system. "All Phoenix personnel, this is Commander Walker. We are launching immediately. This is not a drill. All crew assigned to the Defiance, report to your stations. Everyone else, begin erasing all project data and prepare to evacuate." The next 2 hours were controlled chaos. Essential supplies were loaded onto the ship. Engineers rushed to connect critical systems. Crew members said hasty goodbyes to those staying behind. Dr. Reed found Walker on the bridge. "Commander, we've managed to get life support stable. Engines are at 40% capacity. It's not pretty, but she'll fly." Walker nodded. That will have to be enough. As the countdown began, Walker looked around the bridge. Stations designed for 5 people were being manned by 2 or 3. Screens flickered with incomplete data. Exposed wires hung from ceiling panels. Launching in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The ship shuddered as the docking clamps released. Slowly, the Defiance rose from its birthplace, thrusters pushing it away from the asteroid. For the first time, the massive ship moved under its own power. Walker felt a strange mix of pride and fear. The Defiance was approximately 300 meters long, 3 times the size allowed by the treaty. Its unusual design resembled no traditional warship, with sections that looked like they didn't belong together. This strange appearance was deliberate, allowing each component to be disguised as something innocent. Council ship has changed course, Rivera reported. They detected our launch. Take us into the denser part of the belt, Walker ordered. Use the asteroids for cover. The Defiance moved deeper into the asteroid field, its untested engines struggling with precise maneuvers. Twice they barely avoided collisions with large rocks. Inside the ship, engineers worked frantically to connect systems while in flight. Gray entered the bridge with a data pad. Commander, I've intercepted Council communications. They're calling for reinforcements. 3 hunter ships are already on their way. How soon? 6 hours, maybe less. Walker turned to his navigation officer. Set course for Neptune. We can hide in its atmosphere while we complete repairs. Sir, the young officer replied. With our engines at partial power, that trip will take at least 12 hours. Then we better hope they don't find us before then, Walker said. As the Defiance made its slow journey toward the outer planets, Admiral Thompson sent an encrypted message from Earth. Council representatives demanding ship surrender, threatening sanctions against Earth. Buy time if possible. Walker knew what that meant. Earth's governments couldn't openly support them now. The Defiance was on its own. For 10 hours, they managed to avoid detection, using a combination of stealth technology and the natural cover of the asteroid belt. Engineers worked non-stop, connecting systems and sealing hull breaches. Dr. Reed managed to boost engine power to 60%. Then a sensor alert sounded. Council hunter ship detected, called out the sensor operator. Range, 2 million kilometers and closing fast. They found us, Rivera said grimly. Walker made another difficult decision. Change course. Head for Jupiter's moons. We'll use Eo's volcanic activity to mask our energy signature. The Defiance altered course, pushing its engines harder than was safe. Warning lights flashed across engineering consoles, but Dr. Reed kept the ship moving. Hunter ship is gaining, Gray reported. Their weapons are charging. How far to Io? Walker asked. 20 minutes at current speed. We won't make it, said Dr. Morgan. Walker stood from his chair. Then we fight. Prepare all weapons. This is what we built her for. Across the ship, crew members moved to battle stations. Weapon systems came online. Shield generators hummed to life. Hunter ship in firing range, Gray announced. Evasive maneuvers, Walker ordered. Let's see what this ship can do. The Defiance turned sharply, showcasing agility that surprised even its creators. The Hunter ship fired, its energy beams slicing through space where the Defiance had been moments before. Return fire, Walker commanded. The Defiance fired its main weapons for the first time. Beams of concentrated energy shot toward the Hunter ship. The first missed, but the second struck its target, causing visible damage to the Council vessel's outer hull. Direct hit, cheered the weapons officer. But their celebration was short-lived. 2 more Hunter ships appeared on sensors. We're outnumbered, Gray said. Walker studied the tactical display. We don't need to win. We just need to survive. He pointed to a cluster of small moons ahead. Take us there. Use their gravity to accelerate and then cut power. We'll drift and let them pass. The Defiance raced toward the moons, taking hits that shook the entire ship. Damage reports flooded in from multiple decks. 3 crew members were injured when a power conduit exploded. Approaching the gravity well, Reed announced, "Ready to cut power on your mark." "Wait for it," Walker said, watching the pursuing ships. Now, the Defiance went dark, its momentum carrying it around the small moon. The hunter ships overshot their position, searching in the wrong place. "Minimal power only," Walker ordered. "Emergency repairs to all damaged systems. We need to be ready to move the moment they find us again." As the Council ships searched the area, the crew of the Defiance worked in near darkness, fixing what they could. Walker moved through the ship, helping where needed, encouraging his people. In the medical bay, he found several injured crew members. "Was it worth it, Commander?" asked one young engineer with a bandaged arm. "Building this ship, breaking their rules." Walker looked around at the wounded but determined faces. "Ask me again when we're free," he replied. "Freedom always has a cost. The question is whether the price is worth paying." In the distance, the hunter ships continued their search pattern. Soon, they would find the Defiance again. The game of cat and mouse would resume. But now they knew something important. The Defiance could fight. Humanity could stand against Council technology. The ship wasn't just a symbol anymore. It was a proven weapon. And across the solar system, word of their battle was spreading, despite Council censorship. The Defiance had fired the first shot in humanity's fight for independence. 2 weeks after their first battle, the Defiance hid in the thick clouds of Titan, Saturn's largest moon. The ship had found temporary safety, using the moon's dense atmosphere and strong magnetic field to hide from Council sensors. Commander Walker stood in the newly repaired engineering section, watching Dr. Reed and his team work on the engines. "How much longer?" Walker asked. Reed wiped sweat from his forehead. "Another day, maybe 2. We've fixed most of the battle damage. The drive system is now at 85% capacity." Walker nodded. Despite the challenges, they had accomplished something remarkable. The ship had survived its first battle, proving that humans could stand against Council technology. "Commander," Gray's voice came through the communication system. "Emergency message from Earth. You need to see this." Walker rushed to the bridge. On the main screen was Admiral Thompson's face, the transmission heavily encrypted to avoid detection. "Walker, the situation has changed," Thompson said, her image breaking up with static. "After your battle, the Council declared Earth in breach of treaty. Their ships have formed a blockade around our planet. No vessels can leave or enter." Walker felt cold dread in his stomach. Casualties? None yet, but the Council has taken more direct control over Earth governments. They're confiscating technology, claiming it's for safety assessment. Their representatives are in every major capital. Thompson's face hardened. "They're demanding we surrender the Defiance and everyone involved in its creation. And if we refuse, they've introduced something called containment protocol. They won't explain exactly what it means, but from Gray's intelligence we know." Thompson didn't need to finish the sentence. Containment meant the slow death of human independence, or worse. "We can't fight their entire fleet," Walker said. "No, but something interesting is happening," Thompson replied. "Your battle has spread across Earth's communications. Despite Council censorship, people know about the Defiance. It's becoming a symbol. Several nations have begun their own secret projects, inspired by what you've done." Walker was surprised. Other ships, smaller vessels, but yes. And some Council members seem uncomfortable with their leadership's actions. 3 alien diplomats have secretly contacted us, offering information about Council fleet movements and internal divisions. The transmission began breaking up more severely. "We're out of time," Thompson said urgently. "The Council has issued an ultimatum. We have 7 Earth days to surrender all unauthorized technology. After that, containment begins. Walker, whatever you're going to do it now." The screen went dark. Walker turned to his bridge crew. Their faces showed determination mixed with fear. "Prepare the ship," he ordered. "We launch in 6 hours." "Where are we going?" Rivera asked. Walker's eyes were hard. "To save Earth." The Defiance left Titan's atmosphere at full power, no longer hiding. As they approached the edge of the solar system, long-range sensors detected a Council enforcement fleet, 15 warships forming a battle line. "They're waiting for us," Gray said. Walker wasn't surprised. "Send the signal." Minutes later, 3 smaller ships appeared on sensors, moving to join the Defiance. They were Earth vessels, built in secret by other nations after hearing about Project Phoenix. These ships were smaller than the Defiance, but shared its innovative design philosophy, using allowed technology in ways the Council never expected. "This is Captain Lee of the Freedom," came a voice over the communication system. "Chinese-European Alliance, reporting for duty." "Captain Rodriguez of the Esperanza," said another. "South American Union, ready to stand with you." "Captain Okafor of the Unity," said a third. "African Coalition, prepared to fight." Walker felt a surge of pride. Humanity had united in the face of external control. "This is Commander Walker of the Defiance. Together, we make our stand." The 4 human ships formed their own line, facing the much larger Council fleet. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but not outsmarted. "All ships, prepare for battle," Walker said. "Remember the plan. We're not here to destroy them, but to show them we cannot be controlled." The Council fleet commander sent a message. "Human vessels, power down and prepare to be boarded. This is your only warning." Walker looked at his crew, seeing determination in their eyes. "No," he replied simply. "Humanity decides its own future." The battle began. Council ships fired first, their advanced weapons lighting up space. The human vessels scattered, using the maneuverability that Dr. Reed's innovative drive systems provided. The Defiance took hit after hit, its shields weakening. But it gave as good as it got, its weapons finding weak points in Council ship designs. "Our shields can't take much more," Rivera reported after 20 minutes of intense fighting. Walker knew it was time for their final gambit. "All power to engines," he ordered. "We're going for their command ship." The Defiance surged forward, diving straight toward the largest Council vessel. Council ships fired desperately, trying to stop what looked like a suicide run. "They think we're going to ram them," Gray said. "Let them think that." Walker replied calmly. "Stand by on the broadcast system." The Defiance came within firing range of the Council command ship, then did something unexpected. Instead of attacking, it transmitted every piece of evidence Gray had gathered about the Council's true intentions. The transmission went to every ship in the fleet, including Council vessels. The effect was immediate. 3 Council ships stopped firing. Then another. The evidence showing how Council leadership had manipulated not just humanity but many of their own member species created confusion in their ranks. "Several Council ships are standing down," Gray reported, amazed. They're talking to each other, arguing with their command. What had begun as a battle was becoming something else, a moment of truth. The Council fleet commander demanded his ships continue fighting, but more and more refused. Many of the alien crews had never known their leader's true plans for controlling emerging species. The Defiance took heavy damage in the process. Fires broke out on 3 decks. The bridge lost power, switching to emergency systems, but they held their position, continuing to broadcast the truth. Finally, an unexpected message came through. "This is Sub-Commander Vrel of the Council vessel Justice. We request dialogue. Too much has been hidden from us." Walker exchanged glances with his bridge crew. This was more than they had hoped for. Division within the Council itself. "This is Commander Walker. We accept." 1 month later, Walker stood in the same orbital diplomatic station where the original treaty had been signed. This time, the meeting was different. Representatives from Earth sat as equals with a reformed Council delegation. The old Council leadership had been removed after the evidence of their manipulation became widely known. "We deeply regret the actions of our former leaders," said Vrel, now leading the Council delegation. The restrictions placed on Earth were never about safety. They were about control. That ends today. A new treaty was signed, one that recognized Earth's right to defend itself and determine its own path among the stars. The unfair limitations on human technology were removed. In return, Earth agreed to certain reasonable safeguards that applied equally to all species. Later, as the diplomatic team celebrated, Walker found himself looking out the same viewport where his journey had begun. The Defiance, now undergoing repairs in Earth orbit, was visible in the distance. Dr. Reed joined him. "You know what's funny?" Reed said. "Their rules were meant to stop us, but they only made us more creative. If they had truly welcomed us as equals from the start, we might never have built the Defiance." Walker nodded. "They tried to cage a species that has never accepted cages." He looked at the stars beyond. They didn't understand something important about humans. "What's that?" Reed asked. "We don't just break rules," Walker said with a smile. "We transform them into something better." Earth would now join the galactic community not as a controlled member, but as a full partner, with all the rights and responsibilities that came with it. The path ahead would not be easy, but it would be their own. And the Defiance, once a secret born of fear, would become something new. The first ship of a fleet that would carry humanity's spirit of innovation and determination to the stars.